We also see at Twitter that it's a place where brands can be human. So we've seen that actually there's this very interesting effect that happens when you go and show that there are people behind the logo. It can be really helpful when you're having crises and issues. O2 is a telecom in the UK. And if you're telecom and you think about the worst things that could happen, one of the worst things that could happen is for your network to go down. So think about that moment with the Pope. Couldn't happen if people can't get access to their internet or make phone calls, right? And so their internet goes down, and they proceed to hear about it on Twitter. They got tweets like this one: "Oi, O2, because of you I missed a call from my dear old mum. For that I think I owe you a pint. Ta." O2 responded back, "You're welcome, we think, but if your mum asks, we'll totally deny this tweet." That's actually not that bad. They got some really bad ones, like this one. O2 have said sorry. Nice. So when I don't pay my bill for another month, will a sorry do? How about a bleep bleeping your mothers, you twats? This got retweeted thousands of times. O2 responded. She says no thanks. And people started to follow this. O2 is doing something really interesting and unexpected as a brand, and they got tweets like this one: "Whoever's running the Twitter feed today is handling the abuse really well. Go you. O2, I need a hug." And the amazing thing that they did is they tracked this. And this is the story they had to tell at the end of this. If you look at the orange line, that's love. If you look at the blue line on the bottom, that's happiness. And in the middle, you see anger and sadness. Normally when these moments happen on Twitter and people aren't there, you see a hockey stick. And it's all anger. And it's some sadness, but mostly it's anger. This shows how you can actually move the needle for your brand, and you think about some of the categories where sentiment is a challenge. Huge opportunity there if you address it in the right way. Another way to be human is to think about your products yourself and the experiences and things that happen around them, and bring them closer to the people who are using them. So GoPro, great camera. We've seen people put it on surfboards and take it teleskiing and doing all these incredible things. But what they do on Twitter that I think is so smart is they don't really talk about the product features, right? It's not necessarily about the technology. They talk about the experiences and highlight the people who are using it. And they've actually trained their followers, their community, to be their best advocates. They've trained them to actually give them content that they can then socialize. So a snow day happened, and GoPro sent out this tweet, and they promoted it. And this was the content.
You ready, Lila?
Yeah.
Okay, put your goggles on.
I haven't got any goggles.
What, you haven't brought any goggles with you?
No?
Snow's gonna go in your eyes really bad down here then.
You thought you'd set the bar, I never tried to work it out. We just lit the fire, and now you wanna put it out. You gave it all you got, and what you got is not a lot.
It's March the 23rd, 2013. Of course we're sledging. Hard work.
All you made will start to fade. We threw it in the fire. It's better that it not be made. You just run together.
There are not many things that are as scary as watching your 3-year-old daughter sledge for the first time on her own.
You're a cog in the machine. It's like a default.
Big crash. She crashed on the first run, so here we go for run number 2.
I do not get that go.
Take one for the team. You're a cog in the machine. It's like a default.
How good was that? Sledging.
Those videos get retweeted and favorited and shared because they're fun to watch, and the product is part of it. They're a great follow on Twitter. It actually makes me always want to take a vacation when I see tweets from GoPro. The last thing I want to talk about is this opportunity to surprise people. Again, think about Twitter being public, and so you can really see all kinds of conversations and moments that you can take advantage of, or you can surprise people in different ways that they might not necessarily expect. And we've seen some brands do some really creative things around this idea of surprise and delight. So Nike in France had created a new jersey for the French team. And they invited fans to tweet at the hashtag #OnBlue to send inspiration to the players. Essentially, Nike was offering to connect fans to players. And so you saw tweets like this one of this woman, tweeting a photo of her wearing the jersey, or somebody else sent a tweet saying your dreams are our ambition. So it was a really lovely campaign. And then they did something really cool. The morning of the big match against Spain, certain people woke up to tweets from their favorite players saying, your tweet is going to be on my shoelaces in tonight's game. Literally, your inspiration is going onto the field with me, which was a really cool way where Nike flipped it. All of a sudden, the players were connected to the fans in a really meaningful way. And it was such an unexpected thing that we saw this content travel and people talk about this. This was the brand sort of connecting folks to people who seem unattainable, bringing them closer. That was a really big win for them in France. Another way to surprise and delight is to do something unexpected. So this is maybe one of my favorite examples at Twitter because it's a small brand. So, we've been around for 7 years. We've seen brands in the last few years really start to innovate and play on the platform. So we know that there are best practices, but we always say that there are better practices, right? There's just so much room for innovation. So Mellow Mushroom wanted to get more followers. And they told people, if you follow us, we might follow you back. And this is what they did. I don't think anyone expected a giant stone mushroom to follow them around, but they found 20 people who looked like they had a sense of humor on Twitter. And they worked with their friends and their coworkers and their family members to set up these moments and get this content and then use it in all kinds of ways. And the reward for them, again, think about it. If you do something new, there's so much attention. They got a ton of media coverage because of this. They got a lot of new followers because of this. It was a really just clever, fun thing to do. And they're a tiny little pizza shop. So there's all kinds of opportunity when you think about what brands can do. It's just doing something that people haven't done before.